I have this letter to America written by Osama bin Laden after 9/11, and I wanted to listen to what it had to say. It's fascinating. I actually wrote a program to text to speech this letter, so it's reasonably good quality. Let's see what it has to say, shall we?
Text of Osama bin Laden's letter to the American people, reported in today's Observer. The letter first appeared on the internet in Arabic and has since been translated and circulated by Islamists in Britain. Observer Worldview Sun, 24, NAV, 2002. 7 Est, in the name of Allah, the most gracious, the most merciful, permission to fight against disbelievers is given to those believers who are fought against, because they have been wronged, and surely Allah is able to give them believers victory. Quran 22.
So I'm going to interject periodically and just kind of give my thoughts on what's being said. He's saying Allah will guarantee victory against your enemies, which obviously is not exactly correct.
39. Those who believe, fight in the cause of Allah, and those who disbelieve, fight in the cause of Taghut, anything worshipped other than Allah, for example, Satan. So fight you against the friends of Satan. Ever feeble is indeed the plot of Satan. Quran 4, 76. Some American writers have published articles under the title, On What Basis Are We Fighting? These articles have generated a number of responses, some of which adhered to the truth, and were based on Islamic law, and others which have not. Here, we wanted to outline the truth, as an explanation and warning. Hope.
So he's saying that some American Muslims wrote stuff like, on what basis are we fighting? Trying to reduce the amount of fighting and terrorism in Islam. And he is writing his own document to justify fighting against Americans. Interesting.
And for Allah's reward, seeking success and support from him, while seeking Allah's help, we form our reply based on 2 questions directed at the Americans. Q1. Why are we fighting and opposing you? Q2. What are we calling you to? And what do we want from you?
Okay, good questions.
For the first question, why are we fighting and opposing you? The answer is very simple. 1. Because you attacked us and continue to attack us. You attacked us in Palestine. Palestine, which has sunk under military occupation for more than 80 years.
Oh shit. This is about Israel. They are not happy with America's support of Israel. That is why Osama bin Laden ran the planes into the World Trade Centers. Additionally, there was something called the Mujahideen in the 80s, I believe. A lot of people didn't know about this because they weren't alive in the 80s, but Reagan funded a holy war, and it was basically a proxy war between us and the Soviets. We were funding one side, Osama bin Laden, the freedom fighter, and the Soviets were funding the other side. I don't remember who was fighting on the Soviet side. Anyway, the point is that he felt like he was a pawn in all of that, and he was, of course. As a proxy war, he was most definitely a pawn. He didn't like that, and that pissed him off a great deal, certainly. And eventually led to his disillusionment with America completely, with how they treated Israel and Palestine.
Dish handed over Palestine, with your help and your support, to the Jews who have occupied it for more than 50 years. Years overflowing with oppression, tyranny, crimes, killing, expulsion, destruction, and devastation. The creation and continuation of Israel is one of the greatest crimes, and you are the leaders of its criminals. And of course there is no need to explain and prove the degree of American support for Israel. The creation of Israel is a crime which must be erased. Each and every person whose hands have been...
Holy shit, dude. The creation of Israel is a crime which must be erased. I have a problem with the fact that Israel is most definitely an apartheid state. It's set up as an apartheid state, as a segregated state. I don't like that. I do not like apartheid states. I don't like, supremacist states generally. That bothers me a lot. I don't want that. And for that reason, I believe that Israel should be an open state that is open to everybody, a fully democratic state. But, I have no control over that, of course, unfortunately. I am going to fight against it at every opportunity, though. Fight against the idea of a segregated apartheid state. But Osama bin Laden isn't fighting against an apartheid state. He genuinely fucking hates Jews. Or hated, I suppose. He was actually an anti-Semite. So I don't want to, make him look better or anything. I'm just trying to contextualize this.
Come polluted in the contribution towards this crime, must pay its price, and pay for it heavily. 2. It brings us both laughter and tears to see that you have not yet tired of repeating your fabricated lies, that the Jews have a historical right to Palestine, as it was promised to them in the Torah. Anyone who disputes with them on this alleged fact is accused of anti-Semitism. This is one of the most fallacious, Widely circulated fabrications in history.
I'm sorry, let me step back just a little bit and listen one more time.
Anyone who disputes with them on this alleged fact is accused of anti-Semitism. This is one of the most fallacious.
That's absolutely true. Yes, 100%. I completely agree. Israel calls it anti-Semitism anytime somebody disagrees with the state of Israel. Bro, this was written all the way back in like 2002 or something, after 9/11. That's wild, right? The more things change, the more they stay the same.
Widely circulated fabrications in history. The people of Palestine are pure Arabs and original Semites. It is the Muslims who are the inheritors of Moses, peace be upon him, and the inheritors of the real Torah that has not been changed.
Oh my God, dude. I'm sorry. This is religious garbage. This part is. There is no common ancestor between Semitic people. There is no Semitic group. Okay, Jews are not Semitic any more than Arabs are Semitic. It's a language grouping, not a people group. And he would know that if he went to a fucking biology class, but okay, that's beside the point. This idea that the Semitic people deserve blah, 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 is all nonsense. Like, it's not real.
Muslims believe in all of the prophets, including Abraham, Moses, Jesus, and Muhammad. Peace and blessings of Allah be upon them all. If the followers of Moses have been promised a right to Palestine in the Torah, then the Muslims are the most worthy nation of this. When the Muslims conquered Palestine and drove out the Romans, Palestine and Jerusalem returned to Islam.
Returned to Islam. So he's making an argument from race, I guess. He believes that he racially deserves to control this area. I'm sorry, this is a stupid fucking argument.
The religion of all the prophets, peace be upon them. Therefore, the call to a historical right to Palestine cannot be raised against the Islamic Ummah that believes in all the prophets of Allah, peace and blessings be upon them.
Nobody has a right to the region except for the people that actively live there, right? Like that have homes there. And Israel is driving them out. And that's fucking wrong. Ethnic cleansing. Unacceptable.
And we make no distinction between them. The third, the blood pouring out of Palestine must be equally revenged. You must know that the Palestinians do not cry alone. Their women are not widowed alone. Their sons are not orphaned alone. EU attacked us in Somalia. You supported the Russian atrocities against us in Chechnya.
There you go. They're talking. This is about the Mujahideen, I believe. I could be wrong with some of this. I just understand some of the context here. I'm trying to provide what I have. But the Palestinians don't cry alone. The orphaned children don't cry alone. That is sad, right? God damn. I wish, unfortunately, he was a religious extremist, and I hope that this proved something to the world. 9/11, that is. Terrorist action does not actually accomplish what you think it's going to accomplish. Terrorism breathes life into the opposing movement, obviously. I mean, that one terrorist act led to unhinged, insane, invasion of Iraq, invasion of Afghanistan. I mean, we stuck our hands in the Middle East for the next 30 fucking years because of what he did.
The Indian oppression against us in Kashmir, and the Jewish aggression against us in Lebanon. See, under your supervision, consent and orders, the governments of our countries which act as your agents, attack us on a daily basis. These governments prevent our people from establishing the Islamic Sharia, using violence and lies to do so.
There you go. So he's saying, I want to establish the Islamic Sharia law, and Jews are preventing me from doing it. And that's bad in his eyes. Sharia law is like a Christian nationalist state. The problem is that Osama bin Laden, I don't know a lot about the guy, but it seems to me that he was like a Christian nationalist in America, except for Islam instead of Christianity. He had a weird fixation on Jews as some special part of his theology. He had a fixation on a certain area of the Middle East, believed that his people should live there, should control it or whatever. And he wanted to push religious law in these areas. He's very much like Jack Hibbs or Kenneth Copeland of Islam. Now, Jack Hibbs and Kenneth Copeland are on occasion correct about things. And in this case, I feel like Osama bin Laden was correct about a lot. But he was also a religious extremist, and we need to remember that.
2. These governments give us a taste of humiliation and places us in a large prison of fear and subdual. The third, these governments steal our Ummah's wealth and sell them to you at a paltry price.
So these governments steal what we have and sell them to you for nothing. They're like robbing and pillaging our properties is one of the complaints here. Yeah.
These governments have surrendered to the Jews and handed them most of Palestine, acknowledging the existence of their state over the dismembered limbs of their own people. The removal of these governments is an obligation upon us and a necessary step to free the Ummah, to make the Sharia the supreme law, and to regain Palestine.
So he's saying it's incumbent on us to unseat American authority, to destroy the American empire so that we can establish Sharia law, basically, is what he's saying.
And our fight against these governments is not separate from our fight against you. Do you steal our wealth and oil at paltry prices?
No, I'm sorry. He's talking to America. This is a letter to America. So maybe he's saying it's incumbent on him to get rid of the governments in the Middle East so that they can establish Sharia law?
Because of you, international influence and military threats. This theft is indeed the biggest theft ever witnessed by mankind in the history of the world. Your forces occupy our countries. You spread your military bases throughout them. You corrupt our lands, and you besiege our sanctities to protect the security of the Jews and to ensure the continuity of your pillage of our treasures. You have starved the Muslims of Iraq, where children die every day.
Fascinatingly, again, this is, I think that this might be shortly after the Iraq War started. When was this? Hang on. 2002. It was November 2002, published by Al-Qaeda. Yeah. So I think this is before the Iraq War, right?
It is a wonder that more than 1.5 million Iraqi children have died as a result of your sanctions, and you did not show concern. Yet when 3,000 of your people died, the entire world rises and has not yet sat down. You have supported the Jews in their idea that Jerusalem is their eternal capital, and agreed to move your embassy there.
Okay, so we didn't do that, actually. That was something that they were talking about doing. But under Trump, they did that. They moved the embassy to Jerusalem to establish that Jews deserve Palestine, basically. Because Jerusalem is cut in half. Half is owned by Palestine, half owned by Israel. Moving the embassy to moving the embassy to Jerusalem clearly signifies that we support Israel in this battle, basically.
With your help and under your protection, the Israelis are planning to destroy the Al-Aqsa Mosque. Under the protection of your weapons, Sharon entered the Al-Aqsa Mosque to pollute it as a preparation to capture and destroy it.
That's true. That did happen. And it did look like the Al-Aqsa Mosque is on the Temple Mount and must be torn down before Jesus can return in a lot of Zionist ideology, before the third temple can be built. It's this whole theological end times thing that's disturbing as fucking shit. And a prerequisite to Jesus returning in a lot of Zionist Christian minds is Al-Aqsa Mosque is torn down. The world has been waiting with bated breath for that moment. People like Mike Huckabee are pushing for that, are pushing to destroy Al-Aqsa Mosque. That will genuinely be World War III. Like, people talk about World War III all the time. You know, Russia invades Ukraine, it's World War III. Palestine invades Israel, it's World War III. No, that would be World War III, actually, if that were to happen.
2. These tragedies and calamities are only a few examples of your oppression and aggression against us. It is commanded by our religion and intellect that the oppressed have a right to return the aggression. Do not await anything from us but jihad, resistance, and revenge. Is it in any way rational to expect that after America has attacked us for more than half a century, that we will then leave her to live in security and peace?
Honestly, no. I don't expect to live in security and peace after what America did to the Middle East. I'm not justifying this. Again, he's a religious nutcase, but I completely understand his mindset and why he's decided to come after people like that. That makes complete sense. Literally watching his friends and family's limbs get blown off on a daily basis because of America, and we expect no, retaliation at all. I definitely expect retaliation, for sure.
You may then dispute that all the above does not justify aggression against civilians. for crimes they did not commit and offenses in which they did not partake.
There you go. That's it.
This argument contradicts your continuous repetition that America is the land of freedom, and its leaders in this world. Therefore, the American people are the ones who choose their government by way of their own free will, a choice which stems from their agreement to its policies.
It doesn't matter. Yes, the government chooses people or whatever. He's turning democracy against itself, and he's come up with an excuse to attack civilians in democracies, but conveniently protected civilians in dictatorships. That's not how it works. You don't attack civilians, period.
Thus, the American people have chosen, consented to, and affirmed their support for the Israeli oppression of the Palestinians, the occupation and usurpation of their land.
He knows that that's not how democracy works. He knows that's not how it works. He's just excusing the slaughter of civilians, and that's unacceptable under any circumstances. I stand against aggression in Palestine. I expect you to stand against aggression in America on civilians. Wage war on the people who deserve it.
And its continuous killing, torture, punishment, and expulsion of the Palestinians. The American people have the ability and choice to refuse the policies of their government, and even to change it if they want. The American people are the ones who pay the taxes which fund the planes that bomb us in Afghanistan, the tanks that strike and destroy our homes in Palestine, the armies which occupy our lands in the Arabian Gulf, and the fleets which ensure the blockade of Iraq. These tax dollars are given to Israel for it to continue to attack us and penetrate our lands. So the American people are the ones who fund the attacks against us.
Bullshit. He's looking for a justification to murder innocent civilians, and that's unacceptable. I get being upset about what Israel is doing. I get wanting to make people feel unsafe because of what they're justifying or whatever, but you don't hurt civilians. You just don't. Doesn't matter what ideology you have, we have to be able to agree on a few common things. And the common thing that we must be able to agree with in war is no hurting civilians. Just a reminder, I would really appreciate it if you guys checked out my Patreon. If you're not going to donate, you don't have to, but follow me there at the very least. owenmorgan.com/Patreon. Just in case something happens with the government or whatever. It would be really good if you had some way to connect with me and my content. I'm really concerned about that. And maybe you should consider that for other creators too.
And they are the ones who oversee the expenditure of these monies in the way they wish, through their elected candidates. See also, the American army is part of the American people. It is this very same people who are shamelessly helping the Jews fight against us. The American people are the ones who employ both their men and their women in the American forces which attack us.
So he's doing what's called collective punishment. This is collective punishment. He's punishing a group of people for what somebody else did. And that is a war crime. Attacking civilians is a war crime. In fact, that's like exactly what he's bitching about, like what's happening in Palestine. You can't bitch about it and then do the exact same thing. It is logically inconsistent and unacceptable.
This is why the American people, F Allah, the Almighty, legislated the permission.
Yeah, F Allah. No, just kidding.
And the option to take revenge. Thus, if we are attacked, then we have the right to attack back. Whoever has destroyed our villages and towns, then we have the right to destroy their villages and towns. Whoever has stolen our wealth, then we have the right to destroy their economy.
Again, you can't do collective punishment. Collective punishment is unacceptable. I didn't do shit to you. In fact, I agree with your unhappiness with what's going on. I don't deserve this shit.
And whoever has killed our civilians, then we have the right to kill theirs. The American government and press still refuses to answer the question, why did they attack us in New York and Washington? If Sharon is a man of peace in the eyes of Bush, then we are also men of peace. America does not understand the language of manners and principles, so we are addressing it using the language it understands. Q2.
That's interesting. America doesn't understand this language, so we're using violence, the only language they do understand. Again, you can't attack innocent civilians, okay? I don't want to live in a world where it's acceptable to attack civilians. Yes, America did attack civilians. And the answer to that is to lobby against them, fight against any way you possibly can. The answer is not terrorism, because obviously that doesn't work out very well, right? Obviously that did not accomplish the goal that Osama bin Laden was shooting for. Terrorism does not work. Terrorism is always used against the terrorist. negatively. Like, look at Charlie Kirk's death, the assassination. That I was convinced that shit was going to lead to pogroms. That could have gotten a lot uglier than it did. I'm actually blown away by the fact that that didn't end worse than it did. Terrorism does not work. It does not work.
As for the second question that we want to answer, what are we calling you to, and what do we want from you? 1. The first thing that we are calling you to is Islam, the religion of the unification of God.
Okay, well, I don't want to be a part of Islam, so there you go.
Of freedom from associating partners with him, and rejection of this, of complete love of him, be exalted, of complete submission to his laws,
No, thank you, good sir. I am happy as I am.
and of the discarding of all the opinions, orders, theories, and religions which contradict with the religion he sent down to his prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. Islam is the religion of all the prophets, and makes no distinction between them. Peace be upon them all.
Right, because they believe in Jesus and they think that they're the grand unifying religion or whatever. No, thank you.
It is to this religion that we call you, the seal of all the previous religions. It is the religion of unification of God, sincerity, the best of manners, righteousness, mercy, honor.
Yes. Islam is super awesome and fantastic and great, and everybody loves it. Awesome. I am happy as I am. Thank you, good sir.
Purity, and piety. It is the religion of showing kindness to others.
No, yeah, obviously, yes, very clearly. Yeah, absolutely. It's the religion of showing kindness to others. I can tell.
Establishing justice between them, granting them their rights, defending the oppressed and the persecuted. It is the religion of enjoining the good and forbidding the evil with the hand, tongue, and heart. It is the religion of jihad in the way of Allah, so that Allah's word and religion reigns supreme.
I don't know this for sure. I would have to research it more, but to my understanding, the word jihad actually does mean not physical struggle, but like mental struggle to achieve a certain thing or whatever. I don't remember. You know, I can probably find out. Let's see if we can, no need to wonder, just loaded up our question gun. Let's go answer hunting. Yeah, only in America would somebody, you know, use a gun analogy to find answers. Let's see. Jihad is an Arabic word that fundamentally means struggle or striving, specifically striving in the path of God. Let's see. The greater jihad is the internal spiritual struggle, fighting against one's own ego, desires, and shortcomings to become a better Muslim. This includes things like resisting temptation, maintaining prayer discipline, being honest in difficult situations, and self-improvement. Many Islamic scholars and theologians emphasize this as the primary meaning. The lesser jihad refers to external struggle, which can include physical defense of the Muslim community. Classical Islamic jurisprudence developed detailed rules around this. It was meant to be defensive, proportional, and conducted under strict ethical constraints, protecting non-combatants, not destroying infrastructure unnecessarily, etc. Are extremists distorting it? Yes, overwhelmingly. Extremist groups take the lesser jihad concept and strip away all the ethical constraints that classical Islamic scholarship placed on it. They redefine defensive warfare to justify aggressive expansionism. They ignore rules protecting civilians and non-combatants, completely abandon the emphasis on the greater jihad, use it to justify actions that violate Islamic legal principles like suicide attacks, which are forbidden in traditional Islamic law, reject the authority of mainstream Islamic scholarship. There isn't really a direct equivalent in Christian terms, but spiritual warfare is probably the closest, I guess. Where spiritual warfare is the idea of struggling against sin, temptation, and evil forces. And spiritual warfare was distorted into crusade, where it's literal, like, battle, fighting a battle physically against people that you don't like, or that, you know, non-Christians or whatever. That's interesting. Knowing is half the battle, as my friend G.I. Joe says, right? All right, let's continue listening to Osama bin Laden's letter to America. We are about halfway through, almost.
And it is the religion of unity and agreement on the obedience to Allah, and total equality between all, without regarding their color, sex, arts, or language. It is the religion whose book, the Quran, will remain preserved and unchanged.
So he's saying he wants a society where everybody is Muslim and they are all treated as equals regardless of skin color. Is that what he said? One more time. 15 seconds back.
An agreement on the obedience to Allah and total equality between all, without regarding their color, sex, arts, or language.
He said without regarding their color, sex, or language. I mean, that's not strictly true. They treat women very differently than men in Islam, right? Interesting.
B. It is the religion whose book, the Quran, will remain preserved and unchanged. After the other divine books and messages have been changed, the Quran is the miracle until the day of judgment. Allah has challenged anyone to bring a book like the Quran or even 10 verses like it.
Oh yes, the Quran, so incredible. Such an amazing book, OMFG. So good, right guys? It's the best. And you just don't understand it because you can't read Arabic, dummy.
2. The second thing we call you to is to stop your oppression, lies, immorality, and debauchery that has spread among you.
Oh, this is where it gets real. Now he's about to talk about women wearing hijabs and shit.
We call you to be a people of manners, principles, honor, and purity.
Well, I call us to be a people of freedom. I can do whatever the fuck I want, and you can go fuck yourself.
To reject the immoral acts of fornication, homosexuality.
I like fornication. It's like my favorite thing ever. What am I going to do with my free time then?
Intoxicants, gamblings, and trading with interest. We call you to all of this that you may be freed from that which you have become caught up in, that you may be freed from the deceptive lies that you are a great nation.
Okay, well, that last bit, I can accept that, but I enjoy all that shit. Well, I enjoy access to all that shit. I think gambling is destructive. I don't see anything wrong with intoxicants within moderation. You got to be able to control yourself, of course. Like, you can't drink too much. What's wrong with being gay? What's wrong with fornication? Those are like my favorite activities. I mean, not being gay, not my favorite activity. It's my favorite thing to make sure that others can engage in it if it's their favorite activity.
That your leaders spread amongst you to conceal from you the despicable state to which you have reached.
I'm happy with where I am. Thank you, sir.
It is saddening to tell you that you are the worst civilization witnessed by the history of mankind.
I simply disagree.
You are the nation who, rather than ruling by the Sharia of Allah in its constitution and laws, choose to invent your own laws as you will and desire.
Yeah, no fucking shit. Wow. We're not following Sharia law, but instead are inventing our own laws. Wow, yeah. You're an observant fella. Absolutely. Good job there, bud. In all seriousness, you had me at the atrocities being committed by Israel and supported by the United States. You completely lost me at follow Sharia law. What are you smoking?
You separate religion from your policies, contradicting the pure nature, which affirms absolute authority to the Lord and your Creator.
Dude, did you hear that? He's bitching about separation of church and state. Okay, you've lost me entirely.
You flee from the embarrassing question posed to you. How is it possible for Allah, the Almighty, to create His creation, grant them power over all the creatures and land, grant them all the amenities of life, and then deny them that which they are most in need of, knowledge of the laws which govern their lives? 2. You are the nation that permits usury, which has been forbidden by...
Usury is charging interest on loans, and historically has been forbidden among Christians. As a result, Christian-owned or led banks, primarily Christian-led banks, hired Jews to handle money lending because Jews didn't have a problem charging interest. You know, usury wasn't banned in Judaism or whatever for non-Jews. And that's where the caricature of Jewish moneylenders comes from, because they were allowed to lend money and Christians were not allowed to lend money under like Catholic rules or whatever. I guess Islam also adopted the concept of like anti-usury or whatever. That is very interesting.
All the religions. Yet you build your economy and investments on usury. As a result of this, in all its different forms and guises, the Jews have taken control of your economy, through which...
Oh, please. Now the genuine anti-Semitism comes out. Not just, I don't like what Israel's doing in Palestine, but Jews are controlling your economy. Now we're at that level.
They have then taken control of your media, and now control all aspects of your life, making you their servants.
Oh my God.
And achieving their aims at your expense. Precisely what Benjamin Franklin warned you against. The third.
Dude's quoting Benjamin Franklin.
You are a nation that permits the production, trading, and usage of intoxicants. You also permit drugs, and only forbid the trade of them, even though your nation is the largest consumer of them.
Not drugs.
With you are a nation that permits acts of immorality, and you consider them to be pillars of personal freedom.
Yes, exactly.
You have continued to sink down this abyss from level to level until incest has spread amongst you.
I'm sorry? You think incest has spread amongst us? Okay, he fundamentally does not understand American society outside of Alabama.
In the face of which neither your sense of honor nor your law's object. Who can forget your President Clinton's immoral acts committed in the official Oval Office? After that, you did not even bring him to account.
Oh my god, dude. Because it's his business. It was nobody else's business. Who gives a if Bill Clinton gets a blow in the White House from, Monica or from Trump? Who cares? I don't care. Go nuts.
Other than that, he made a mistake, after which everything passed.
Let me rephrase. Who cares if big, beautiful Bill gets a blowy from somebody, right? Nobody cares. Go ahead. Have a good time there, big, beautiful Bill.
Law's object. Who can forget your President Clinton's immoral acts committed in the official Oval Office? After that, you did not even bring him to account. Other than that, he made a mistake, after which everything passed with no punishment.
Yeah, there was no law, committed. There was no law committed, Yeah, there was no law broken. What was the broken law? The impeachment was over a lie. He supposedly lied and claimed that he didn't sleep with Monica. But why is that anybody's fucking business? It's not. It was not like he didn't commit an act of treason. He didn't kill a bunch of children or whatever. What's your complaint even here? Exactly.
Is there a worse kind of event for which your name will go down in history and remembered by nations? You are a nation that permits gambling in its all forms?
Okay, you've got me here. I don't like gambling, and I think it should be illegal. If people want to wager a friendly, amount of money in a game in their house, I guess I don't have a problem with that, but it should be illegal to gamble as a company. Casinos should not exist. Lotteries should not exist. It's taking advantage of people, and it bothers me a lot. I really don't fucking like it. It should definitely be against the law to gamble, for sure.
Companies practice this as well, resulting in the investments becoming active and the criminals becoming rich.
That's true. I agree.
You are a nation that exploits women like consumer products or advertising tools, calling upon customers to purchase them. You use women to serve passengers, visitors, and strangers to increase your profit margins.
Yeah, okay, well, that's fair enough. You use women as flight attendants because it increases profit margins and stuff. All right, yeah, that's fair. But the women are willing participants in this, so I'm not really sure what the problem is exactly. If they're willing to be strippers even, then who cares? It's none of your business. They should be allowed to do that. It's called freedom, baby.
You then rant that you support the liberation of women.
Yes, liberation. They can do what the they want. They're not sex slaves. They're choosing to do this stuff.
Are a nation that practices the trade of sex in all its forms. Directly and indirectly, giant corporations and establishments are established on this, under the name of art, entertainment, and tourism and freedom, and other deceptive names you attribute to it. Sure, and because of all this, you have been described in history as a nation that spreads diseases that were unknown to man in the past.
We are? We're known as the nation that spreads diseases unknown to man? This is news to me.
Go ahead and boast to the nations of man that you brought them AIDS as a satanic American invention. She have destroyed nature with your industrial waste and gases more than any other nation in history. Despite this, you refuse to sign the Kyoto Agreement so that you can secure the profit of your greedy companies and industries. Your law is the law of the rich and wealthy people.
Okay, well, yeah, I'm definitely with you on having a problem with capitalism or whatever, or the way that it operates. But, I don't feel like that justifies running 2 planes into the World Trade Center. I just created a new website, firesidewatch.com. You can watch videos with friends, and everybody can play or pause the video. I made it so I could collaborate with other YouTubers, but I figured I might as well make it available to everybody. On top of that, you can add videos to the queue, upvote them, and sort by most upvoted. Give it a look, firesidewatch.com. And while you're at it, check out my Patreon, owenmorgan.com/Patreon. You can follow me there for free.
Who hold sway in their political parties and fund their election campaigns with their gifts. Behind them stand the Jews, who control your policies.
Oh boy.
Economy, that which you are singled out for in the history of mankind, is that you have used your force to destroy mankind more than any other nation in history, not to defend principles and values, but to hasten to secure your interests and profits. You who dropped a nuclear bomb on Japan, even though Japan was ready to negotiate an end to the war. How many acts of oppression?
Yeah, honestly, he's right on that one. The United States did not have to drop a bomb on Japan. We did it because we were trying to do a show of force for the Soviet Union. They were already prepared to surrender when the bomb fell. And we dropped it on civilian centers. Like, holy fucking shit, dude. That is so whacked out, really. We should not have dropped those bombs on Hiroshima and Nagasaki.
Tyranny and injustice have you carried out, O callers to freedom? Toad, let us not forget one of your major characteristics, your duality in both manners and values. Your hypocrisy in manners and principles. All manners, principles and values have two scales, one for you and one for the others. A freedom and democracy that you call to is for yourselves and for white race only. As for the
I can agree with that, absolutely, for yourselves and for the white race only. Yes, I agree. And I don't like that either.
rest of the world, you impose upon them your monstrous destructive policies and governments, which you call the American friends, yet you prevent them from establishing democracies. When the Islamic Party in Algeria wanted to practice democracy and they won the election, you unleashed your agents in the Algerian army onto them.
Absolutely.
And to attack them with tanks and guns, to imprison them and torture them. A new lesson from the American Book of Democracy. Be your policy on prohibiting and forcibly removing weapons of mass destruction to ensure world peace. It only applies to those countries which you do not permit to possess such weapons. As for the countries you consent to, such as Israel, then they are allowed to keep and use such weapons to defend their security. Anyone else who you suspect might be manufacturing or keeping these kinds of weapons, you call them criminals and you take military action against them.
Absolutely. I agree. He's saying if you approve of the country, they can have weapons of mass destruction, like nuclear weapons. Israel has nuclear weapons, as far as I understand it. But somebody else tries to get nuclear weapons to protect or defend themselves, or whatever, and they're not allowed to have them. There is a hypocrisy there.
Keeping these kinds of weapons, you call them criminals and you take military action against them. See, you are the last ones to respect the resolutions and policies of international law.
Absolutely agreed. Hard.
Yet you claim to want to selectively punish anyone else who does the same. Israel has for more than 50 years been pushing on resolutions and rules against the wall with the full support of America?
So I'm sorry, one more time. I missed that.
Been pushing on resolutions.
Pushing UN resolutions.
And rules against the wall with the full support of America?
Right. Ignoring the UN resolutions, I guess, with the full support of America. Absolutely.
D, as for the war criminals which you censure and form criminal courts for, you shamelessly ask that your own are granted immunity.
Absolutely. I agree. That's a problem. However, we did get a win recently with Netanyahu in the International Criminal Court. He is now limited in where he can go in the world because he's a war criminal. So there's that.
However, history will not forget the war crimes that you committed against the Muslims and the rest of the world. Those you have killed in Japan, Afghanistan, Somalia, Lebanon, and Iraq will remain a shame that you will never be able to escape. It will suffice to remind you of your latest war crimes in Afghanistan, in which densely populated innocent civilian villages were destroyed. Bombs were dropped on mosques, causing the roof of the mosque to come crashing down on the heads of the Muslims praying inside. You are the ones who broke the agreement with the Mujahideen when they left Kunduz, bombing them in, and killing more than 1,000 of your prisoners through suffocation and thirst.
I completely agree. It's fucking disgusting and evil and wrong. Absolutely.
Allah alone knows how many people have died by torture at the hands of you and your agents. Your planes remain in the Afghan skies, looking for anyone remotely suspicious. You have claimed to be the vanguards of human rights, and your Ministry of Foreign Affairs issues annual reports containing statistics of those countries that violate any human rights. However, all these things vanished when the Mujahideen hit you, and you then implemented the methods of the same documented governments that you used to curse. In America, you captured thousands, the Muslims and Arabs, took them into custody with neither reason, court trial, nor even disclosing their names. You issued newer, harsher laws. What happens in Guantanamo is a historical embarrassment to America and its values.
Embarrassment? No. I would take it a step further and say horror. What happened in Guantanamo was a horror. Unacceptable evil. Historical evil. But, this guy doesn't have much room to talk, considering the fact that he supports a lot of this. He just wants it done to his enemies. It's the difference.
And it screams into your faces, you hypocrites. What is the value of your signature on any agreement or treaty?
Yes, exactly. I agree.
3. What we call you to thirdly is to take an honest stance with yourselves and I doubt you will do so, to discover that you are a nation without principles or manners, and that the values and principles to you are something which you merely demand from others, not that which you yourself must adhere to.
Agreed.
4. We also advise you to stop supporting Israel and to end your support of the Indians in Kashmir, the Russians against the Chechens, and to also cease supporting the Manila government against the Muslims in southern Philippines.
That's very interesting. That's on his mind. I don't think America supported Indians in Kashmir. If you don't know the history here, India was split on support. All right. There's a city between Pakistan and India called Kashmir, and it's predominantly Muslim, but it was controlled by an Indian Hindu king long and long ago. And the Indian king terribly mistreated the Muslims in the city. And they basically fight over that one city. And that's why India and Pakistan hate each other. Muslims are genuinely terribly mistreated in Kashmir. In my opinion, Kashmir belongs to Pakistan because it's predominantly Muslim. But anyway, I don't think America took a side on that. Did they? It's an area, not a city. There you go. It's an area.
Against the Chechens, and to also cease supporting the Manila government against the Muslims in southern Philippines. 5. We also advise you to pack your luggage and get out of our lands. We desire for your goodness, guidance, and righteousness, so do not force us to send you back as cargo in coffins. 6.
Damn, that's a pretty direct threat. Don't force us to send you back in cargo or whatever.
6thly, we call upon you to end your support of the corrupt leaders in our countries. Do not interfere in our politics and method of education. Leave us alone, or else expect us in New York and Washington. 7.
Yeah, well, that didn't pan out, obviously. Again, I shouldn't have to worry about people attacking civilians. That's fucked up and wrong and evil, and I'm sorry, I'm just never going to accept that.
So call you to deal with us and interact with us on the basis of mutual interests and benefits, rather than the policies of subdual, theft and occupation, and not to continue your policy of supporting the Jews, because this will result in more disasters for you. If you fail to respond to all these conditions, then prepare for fight with the Islamic nation, the nation of monotheism, that puts complete trust on Allah and fears none other than Him.
Again, this is November 2002, before the Iraq War. So I understand his fervor, his ire, his anger, his hate for what they did. I get that completely. I totally understand why he was unhappy about this. But, America did end up going to war with the Nation of Islam, quote unquote, and it didn't end well. For better or worse, it did not end well for the Nation of Islam. It turned into a massive quagmire. And honestly, it turned into a quagmire for America too. So I'm not saying it didn't work out for them only or whatever, but
which is addressed by its Quran with the words, "Do you fear them? Allah has more right that you should fear Him if you are believers. Fight against them so that Allah will punish them by your hands and disgrace them and give you victory over them and heal the breasts of believing people and remove the anger of their believers' hearts. Allah accepts the repentance of whom He wills. Allah is all-knowing, all-wise." Quran 9:13-1-1. The nation of honor and respect. But honor, power, and glory belong to Allah, and to His messenger Muhammad, peace be upon him, and to the believers. Quran 63. So do not become weak against your enemy, nor be sad, and you will be superior in victory, if you are indeed true believers. Quran 3:139. The nation of martyrdom. The nation that desires death more than you desire life. Think not of those who are killed in the way of Allah as dead. Nay, they are alive with their Lord, and they are being provided for. They rejoice in what Allah has bestowed upon them from His bounty, and rejoice for the sake of those who have not yet joined them, but are left behind not yet martyred, that on them no fear shall come, nor shall they grieve. They rejoice in a grace and bounty from Allah, and that Allah will not waste the reward of the believers. Quran 3:169-171. The nation of victory and success that Allah has promised. It is He who has sent His messenger Muhammad, peace be upon him, with guidance and the religion of truth, Islam, to make it victorious over all other religions, even though the polytheists hate it. Quran 61.
Even though the polytheists hate it. Interesting.
And Allah has decreed that, verily it is I and my messengers who shall be victorious. Verily Allah is all-powerful, almighty. Quran 58:21. The Islamic nation. that was able to dismiss and destroy the previous evil empires like yourself. The nation that rejects your attacks, wishes to remove your evils, and is prepared to fight you. You are well aware that the Islamic nation, from the very core of its soul, despises your haughtiness and arrogance.
Haughtiness. Wow, that's a word I haven't heard in a while. The haughtiness.
If the Americans refuse to listen to our advice and the goodness, guidance, and righteousness that we call them to, then be aware that you will lose this crusade Bush began.
You'll lose this crusade that Bush began. Oh, I think he's talking about in the 90s, Bush Sr., probably. Also, if I'm not mistaken, they ended up finding Osama bin Laden in Pakistan. Like, he was talking shit about Kashmir and how the U.S., like, supports Indian control of Kashmir or whatever, which I don't think is true. I could be wrong. But Kashmir it's between Pakistan and India. And they found him in Pakistan. They found Osama bin Laden in Pakistan. That's very interesting.
Just like the other previous crusades in which you were humiliated by the hands of the Mujahideen, fleeing to your home in great silence and disgrace. If the Americans do not respond, then their fate will be that of the Soviets who fled from Afghanistan to deal with their military defeat, political breakup, ideological downfall, and economic bankruptcy. This is our message to the Americans as an answer to theirs. Do they now know why we fight them, and over which form of ignorance? By the permission of Allah.
Absolutely. That's actually basically the end.
We shall be victorious.
The end. That's it. We shall be victorious. That was an interesting letter to America, right? I completely understand why he did what he did, but you can't hurt innocent civilians. Okay, you cannot do that. That's unacceptable. Yes, I know America did. America bad. Okay, yes, we're all in agreement. But you can't hurt innocent civilians, period. You can't do it. So anyway, fascinating. It kind of contextualizes a lot of this stuff, right? And at the time, Alex Jones was talking about this as well. He knew why Osama bin Laden did what he did before this letter came out. Right here. This is Alex Jones talking about 9/11 after it happened. And listen.
Working with Israel to oppress the people of the planet. Israel loves it. That Nazi Sharon has invaded.
Sharon was the head of Israel at the time.
The West Bank, they're slaughtering innocent people. And I'm sick of worshiping Israel. Did you know back in the 1960s they bombed the USS Liberty knowing it was one of our ships?
That's not true.
Because it caught the radio chatter of them killing thousands of Palestinian children.
Not true.
During that invasion, and they torpedoed it as they begged for hours on the radio, and LBJ sat there in 63 and let them do it.
None of that is true, but okay. They did blow up the Liberty, but the Liberty was not supposed to be there. They were in a battle between Egypt and Israel, and the Liberty was a spying ship. Like, it was, no one expected it to be there, and it was in a war zone, and Israel basically blew it out of the water. There were survivors who were rescued on the USS Liberty, who are still alive today. I think they talk about it or whatever. But it's become a talking point for white nationalists and right-wing extremists, like Israel committed an act of war against the U.S. by blowing up one of our ships. It wasn't supposed to be there. Nobody knew that it was there, and it was in an active war zone. Maybe they knew, but there's no evidence for that. There's no evidence that they knew what they were doing by blowing it up. But okay.
That's in this Baltimore Sun story. I don't support the Palestinians either. They're all hyped up and psychotic. But Israel's going to get us nuked, always backing them up like this.
Yeah, this is after 9/11, and Alex Jones recognized at the time what was happening. He recognized who was at fault and why the World Trade Centers were blown up on 9/11. It was because of American support of Israel and the destruction of Palestine. Again, unacceptable to hurt civilians, period. That's it. There are no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Also, it makes complete sense why somebody would be unhappy with America.
Israel calls the Palestinians goyim or cattle or dogs or subhuman. They keep them on concentration camps. I got video of them taking Palestinian women's tomatoes they grow and breaking their water containers and stealing. That's why you have this crap.
So the point is that at that time, everybody was fully aligned with Israel and against Islam in every way, shape, and form. No deviation from that position. But there was nuance to the conversation, as there usually is. there was nuance to be found here. Fascinating, right? Tell me your thoughts in the comments.